just getting ready to go live. I will go live at the top of the hour. If you're watching the recording, then you get an extra 30 seconds with me. Okay, here we go. Hello, hello. Well, I've decided to do this particular live stream because I get so many questions about writing a book. Is it better to write a book first? Speaking, is it better to build a speaking career first? And the answer is, it depends. Well, that's the facetious answer, but I have a lot of information for you. So I hope you have some paper and a pen. I'm not able to see the comments at the moment because I'm absolutely focused on answering questions that I've received over the past few weeks, months, and years. But I'm always happy to answer a question if you send me a message. So simply DM me and I'll answer it. But for now, I've put together some information about writing a book, about building a speaking career, about the combination of those two things, and what really you should do first. So if you're watching this and you already have a book, but you're not speaking, or if you're watching this and you're a speaker, but you don't have a book, then hopefully you'll figure out how to incorporate the other into your career and what you're doing. If you have both, I hope you pick up some tips because I will get into quite a bit of detail. So let's get started. So I like phrasing the question this way, which comes first? It's kind of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not sure if you know the answer to that, but it's kind of one of those conundrums. The answer is both are really, really important if you want to be a thought leader, and more importantly, a thoughtful leader. I work with thoughtful leaders all the time who want to be writing and speaking. It's both. It's yes and. So if you want to be taken seriously and you need credibility to do that, there's lots of ways to build credibility, but they tend to fall into two camps, writing and speaking. Writing includes articles, blogs, posts, newsletters, emails, I suppose, if you still do those, and of course, books. Speaking includes speaking on a stage, speaking in person, doing things like this, live streaming, recorded videos. It includes podcasts, anytime you're using your voice. So we're talking about both today. Let me go through the first scenario, which is very common. So this is where somebody builds their speaking career first and they haven't yet got a book. So there's some pros and there's some cons, in my opinion. Of course, everything I say today is simply my opinion, as you might expect. So the pros of, or the positive aspects of building your speaking career first before doing a book. Well, you can test your ideas and concepts and material before you go to the effort and maybe expense of putting it into a book. For example, you can try out different topics. You can see how they land. I'm fond of saying that speaking live and in person especially is a good way of getting immediate feedback. You can see people's faces. You can see their body language. If they start yawning or falling asleep, maybe you need to change something about your material or your delivery. But you can test stuff out. You can hone it. You can actually deliver quite a lot and get more confident about your subject before you commit to putting it into a book. And a lot of people say that to me. So, you know, it's a question of playing around with different concepts, and it's very, very different. And of course, have you ever had that moment where you're speaking and for some reason it's not being recorded? This happens, not every speech is recorded. And you say it and you think, oh, that was so good. I've impressed myself. And it's not captured. So that's a con. It's not a con. It's a, something against doing all your speaking first. But another disadvantage, if we want to call it that, is the fact that when you've done a really interesting, a captivating, inspiring speech, many times people want to take you home with them or take a piece of you home with them. So I like saying they can take the book home. It's like taking you home. So they've enjoyed the live session, and then they want to spend more time with you and your ideas. So that's that. You don't have that if you haven't got a book. You haven't got the books there at the gig. So I think you may have already guessed that my bias is towards writing the book first. Maybe not first, but earlier in your career than you might think, and using that to build your speaking career. And of course, you can write more books. But let's talk about it having at least one book. So one advantage or pro to doing this. It used to be the fact that you would get asked by meeting planners, have you written a book? And I've seen this on so many forums over the years. And I actually believe, not only believe, but I know that certain speakers have beat other speakers to a booking because they had a book. And in one case, two of my clients were going for the same gig. And one of them told me that the client, the meeting organizer he was talking to, said, we really like you, but we're going to go with the other guy, who was another client of mine. And they said, we love you, but the other guy seems to really be the expert. He's written a book. I thought, wow, I'm always saying this, but this was proof that somebody thought having a book makes you seem like more of an expert. Now, it's not just having a book. It has to be good. It has to be compelling. It has to be relevant. It should be in sync with your topic. It should be authentic. It should be the right length and style and tone and lots of other things, and proofread. Please have your book edited, because, God forbid somebody opens it and reads it, it has to stand up to that scrutiny. But basically, the book gets you in the door. And I think, and I know, that it gets speakers more invitations, more opportunities, more bookings. The book gets you more bookings, get it? And higher fees. This is something that I have seen for myself with more and more books that I bring out, but also my clients. And having a good book, a great book, a thought-leading book can actually elevate you in the eyes of the client, and you can get higher fees for your speaking and facilitation and coaching and anything else you do. Let's just talk about speaking gigs, which is what most people are here for. So if you want to be a speaker without a book, you're going to work a lot harder. You know that form I was telling you about, the one that had a question on it, have you written a book? Over the years, I have seen that change to, what is the title of your book? Very different question. There's an assumption there, right? There's an assumption that you've written the book or a book. And lately, I've seen a lot of forms that say, please list your books. That's kind of scary for someone who hasn't got any, and even for someone who only has one book. Please list your books. I'm not saying they're going to pick the speaker who's written the most books, but it could happen. Anyway, this all goes towards having a book combined with your speaking. How can you use a book for speaking? Well, most of my clients know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you send the book ahead, or if you even send it as an approach to try to discuss speaking for that organization or that event, they get a chance to test you out. They get to look at the book. Maybe they'll just flick through it, or maybe they'll read it. And they get a sense of who you are and what you write about. And that is extremely helpful. If they like it and they want you, it just gives them that confidence. And I've done it where I've organized events and I've looked at people's books beforehand just to give myself a better feeling that, yeah, they know what they're talking about. So that is all before you even step onto the stage. Now let's talk about the event or the conference itself. At this speaking gig, you can hold up a book, which is very helpful if there's photography and videography going on. I suggest you don't hold it up right near your face the whole time, as I've seen some speakers doing. It's very annoying. It's like, okay, we've seen it. We know you have a book. So then put it down. But you do have it as a prop and a stack of books at the back of the room or at the front of the room, as we like doing, or both. But you can actually create a stack of books, a tower of books. It's very visual. This is assuming that you do a book in print, because you can't do this with an audiobook or ebook. But the book in print, can be very dramatic, and it's part of your branding. So that's during the event. Is there anything else? After the event, well, as I've already said, people may want to take you home with them, and you allow them to do that. You may have time to sign copies, or they might be signed in advance. It can be another income stream. Either the organizer has pre-ordered books for everybody, or you can sell them at the event. It's also another photo opportunity. So people like posing. We have so many photos in our archive of authors posing with people who've just bought a book, and there's so many ways to do it. And it's good fun, and it's visual, and everybody's in a happy mood. You've given or sold a book, they have a book, they take a piece of you home with them. So, that goes on. And maybe they only heard you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but the book gives them a chance to spend about 4 hours with you, longer if they're the sort to read slowly and make notes and that sort of thing. But you see what I mean? They get to spend more quality time with you and your thinking. And that's what I like about it. Because as much as I love speaking, it's over. Even when I used to run a multi-day event, and then at some point it ends, and then what? So you give people something a little bit more permanent. You're there, you're front of mind, you're in their line of sight. So that's really useful. So I think in order to have a really robust speaking career, you do need to have at least one book. And if you're a speaker without a book, please DM me. Let's have a chat. I happen to have 5 different levels of program to get a book done in 90 days, 5 different ways. So if you have been thinking a book is really the next step, and you want more invitations, and you want all that visual stuff, and you want all that stuff I've been talking about, let's have a chat. If you're an author who's not doing any or enough speaking, that's very common as well. You may not be leveraging your book well enough, and I'd love to have a chat with you about that. There's lots of ways to leverage your book. There's lots of ways, especially to turn that book into a solid and successful speaking career. You like that alliteration? It's just off the top of my head. I'd love to have a chat with you about turning this book and all the effort that you've put into it into a solid and successful speaking career. And that is every day I end up talking to people about both of these topics. So what is the answer? What comes first, the book or the speaking career? That's up to you, really. I don't think I've been very even-handed. I know I haven't. I know I'm biased towards having a book and leveraging that. But I'd be open to listening to any of your comments, and certainly any stories, any success stories that you have, or any insights that you have from either going forward with your speaking first or your book first. There's no right answer, really. I just think that we should have both. And if you've spent time watching me, listening to me today, I want you to have both. I want you to have it all. If you're an expert, if you're a thought leader, but please don't call yourself one, but if you know you're a thought leader and you're missing one of these vital components, let's have a chat. I don't do very much book coaching at the moment. I have room for 3 private clients per quarter, and I've been doing this a long time. So usually my list is full or almost full, but we can have a chat. But I am doing a lot of coaching for authors who want to be speaking more. And that is unlimited. You know, there's so much opportunity. But I'm going to end it here because I promised myself I'd go for 15 minutes, which I think is a good amount of time. This is one of my short speaking engagements, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you. And I look forward to speaking to you and hearing about all your success coming up in the coming weeks and months and years. See you soon.